Gorilla Jones. Phenomenal middleweight champion he was. But you see, there were two Gorilla Jones. One was the Fighting Gorilla, and the other one was William Landon Jones. Now, William Landon Jones had a controversial fight with the Frenchman, Marcel Theo. Marcel Theo is to your right, and William Landon Jones is to your left. I'm Scrapbook Boxing, and I would like to discuss that fight as well as the career of Gorilla Jones with you. Right here on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Let's take a look at this outstanding middleweight champion's career. Now, as I stated, there were two Gorilla Jones. You had the Fighting Gorilla. Now, he became current welterweight champion when he defeated Eddie Palmer. It was for the inaugural championship. It was scheduled for 20 rounds and went the distance. And Gorilla Jones became a welterweight champion in the color division. Now, he would win in 1 round of the disqualification over battling Ortega. This fight took place in New Orleans, February 15th, 1915. And that would be the same year that the world champion Jack Johnson would lose his title in the 26th round over Jess Willard and Cuba Havana. February 21st, 1922, Jones met future world middleweight champion Tiger Flowers in Mexico. It was for the Southwest Middleweight Championship. Unfortunately, he would lose in the 4th round. It was scheduled for 15. Now, Tiger Flowers would relinquish that title, and it would go to Coco Kid. He would take over that crown. Tiger Flowers would move up to the middleweight division and eventually become middleweight champion in 1926 when he would defeat an outstanding middleweight champion by the name of Harry Greb. William Gorilla Jones turned professional in 1923. After dropping out of high school at the age of 18, Jones defeated former colored middleweight champion Jack McVeigh. June 25th, 1929. It was scheduled for 10 rounds and it took place at the Boston Braves field. A crowd over 7,000 spectators had witnessed McVeigh block most of those punches, according to the onlookers. There were so many boos in that crowd, especially when the decision was rendered. The championship belt was displayed and presented to William Gorilla Jones, and banana peels were thrown at him. Now, Jones would lose to current welterweight champion Jackie Fields. Jackie Fields would win that crown when he would defeat and outbox young Jack Thompson twice. On October 21st, 1929 in San Francisco, California, in front of 10,000 spectators, 10 full rounds of action-packed excitement, Jones had problems dealing with Jackie Fields because of his speed and stamina. Now, William Jones participated on August 21st, 1931. This was a bout that took place in front of a screaming crowd. It was for the World Middleweight Championship. He did face and defeat Thomas in 10 rounds on points. It was a unanimous decision in Milwaukee. And William Gorilla Jones displayed such grace and style. August 25th, 1931, Jones defeated Tiger Thomas in a 10-round point decision in Milwaukee. This was part of a tournament to take over the middleweight championship that was relinquished by Mickey Walker. And Mickey Walker would win that title by defeating Tiger Flowers. It was the NBA middleweight championship crown. It was a fantastic tournament. Gorilla Jones would KO Clyde Cheston. Now, he knocked him out in the 6th round on September 17th, 1931. November 3rd, 1931, Jones defeated George Nichols in the 3rd round of a middleweight championship tournament. Jones showed great defensive skills against Nichols. Nichols had a very aggressive style. On January 25th, 1932, Jones won the NBA World Middleweight Championship. That title was vacated by Mickey Walker. He KO'd Arsen Pisa on January 25th, 1932. That fight was also in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, this was the last match of the tournament to decide who would become the new world middleweight champion. Jones threw hard punches and combinations to the body and head, finally putting Piazza down to the canvas. On March 31st, 1932, Jones defeated powerful, hard-punching Chuck Burns. Now, you heard that name Chuck Burns before, because he was in the ring with everyone. And I mean everyone. He was also in the ring with Ray Robinson and Henry Armstrong and many others. He would knock him out in the third round in Akron, Ohio, and Burns was stopped. He was dropped 3 times in the third round. Combinations would follow before the fourth and final knockdown. Jones would get up and knock him clean out. Jones would defend his title on April 26, 1932 against New Jersey's Terry Young. Terry Young was a phenomenal New Jersey fighter. It was a 12-round unanimous decision. It was before a crowd of 7,000 at the Omni in Trenton, New Jersey. He threw a right to the heart and a left to the head because of Young's durable chin. He would eventually stagger, but he wouldn't go down. And after a few more combinations, he would get weak, and the referee would have to jump in. June 11, 1932, William Gorilla Jones would lose his precious crown in Paris, France. Very controversial stoppage. It was a disqualification against Marcel Thiel in the 11th round. Now you're looking at a Frenchman who would win on disqualification in France. Most reporters had actually typed up. They couldn't understand why the fight was stopped. Those reporters were from the New York Times. Now some of them claimed there was holding and hitting, low punches. And they claimed that William Gorilla Jones was behind on the cards. A crowd of 70,000 spectators, the largest in France in many years. Marcel Thiel was born May 20th, 1904. He died August 14th, 1968. He was 64 years of age at the time of his death. He had a fighting career record of 148 total bouts, 113 wins, 54 knockouts, and 22 losses. Now he would win the European Middleweight Championship title, the International Boxing Union, which is the IBU, July 4th, 1932. Marcel Thiel defended title against Lynn Harvey. Now I did a profile on Lynn Harvey. Type in Lynn Harvey, Scrapbook Boxing, and you'll learn more about Lynn Harvey. Now he fought him 11 times. He would defend that crown 11 times. And he would fight Fred Apostoli in a non-title fight. He would lose, suffering a cut over his eye. On April 19th, 1933, Jones fought 6 rounds, no contest, against the reigning middleweight champion, Jewish star Ben Jedby. This is before a screaming crowd of 80,000 people in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, William Gorilla Jones had a fighting career record of 138 total bouts, 101 wins, 24 losses, 13 draws, and 52 knockouts. Some records say 122 total bouts, 30 losses, 17 draws, and 66 knockouts. Whichever the original record. He was born May 12th, 1906, Memphis, Tennessee. Died January 4th, 1982, Los Angeles, California. 75 years of age at the time of his death. Stood 5'9", weighed 147 to 160 pounds. He was introduced into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, Jones faced Freddie Steele. He was in the ring with Al Milo, Izzy Grove, and Paul Pillon. Sammy Slaughter, young Pete Myers, George Nichols, Tommy Freeman, Freeman was a welterweight champion. Pal Silvers, Jack McVeigh, he was a colored middleweight champion. Izzy Grove, Tiger Thompson, Jack Sparring, Bucky Lawless, Frank Fauci, Henry Thurpo, Ben Jabi. Ben Jabi was a middleweight champion. He fought Alabama Kid twice. Harry Pitt Smith was a colored middleweight champion. He had one no contest and one loss. He would face Roy Tiger Wilson. Jack Malone, no decision. Marcel Thiel, who would eventually become the middleweight champion of the world, with a controversial disqualification. He would face Chuck Burns and Jack December, Indian Mike Payne, Vernon Battling Nelson, Blackfoot Simmons, Barrington, Ohio, knocked him out in 3 rounds. He would face Akeo Kelly 3 times, 1 loss, 10 no decisions, and 1 win victory. Sam Bruce lost to him in 8 rounds. Sergeant Sammy Baker in Cleveland, Ohio. Marcel Thiel was born in Saint-Dié, France, 1904. Turned professional at the age of 16 in 1920. Won a European middleweight championship, 1929. Lost the European middleweight championship in 1930. He would win the World Middleweight Championship in 1932 with a controversial decision over William Gorilla Jones. And he would lose the middleweight championship over Fred Apostoli. Now, one of the fighters he would face was Sergeant Sammy Baker. Listen to some of the opponents that Sergeant Sammy Baker would face. John Corbett III fought him twice. He was a welterweight champion of the world, and he would lose his title to Jimmy McLarnin. Being in the ring with Baby Joe Gans, he was a colored champion. So did Jacob Bakerfield, Harry Kid Brown, Joey Silvers, Paul Penrone, Eddie K.O. Roberts, Mushy Callahan, champion, Jimmy Duffy, Young Ketchel, Paul Perone, Ace Hutkins, he was known as the Nebraskan Wildcat, Larry Estridge, he was a colored middleweight champion, Jack Zivick, one of the 5 Zivick brothers, Pete August, Tommy Freeman, he was a welterweight champion, Pete Latzo, welterweight champion, Willie Harmon, and Eddie Dempsey, Eddie K.O. Roberts, and Jimmy McLarnin, who was a welterweight champion. He would also face Tommy Freeman. Freeman was in a ring with fighters such as Myron Pinky Mitchell, Joe Dundee. Both these men were champions. Sergeant Sammy Baker, Willie Harmon, and Sam Bruce, Clyde Bull, Bucky Lawless, former Joan Cooper, Canada Lee, Tiger William Jones, Manuel Couture, Tiger Roy Williams, Alabama Kid, Alan Matthews, Al McCoy, Sammy Kid Slaughter, and Ralph Chung. Very good Oriental fighter was Ralph Chung. Fought him twice. Now, William Gorilla Jones would develop a very close relationship with Mae West. She was a famous actress in the Western world. She would hire him. She would also hire the former featherweight champion, Albert Chalky Wright, who fought Joey Archibald, September 11, 1941, for the New York SAC Featherweight Championship of the World. On Friday, September 20th, 1942, New York's Madison Square Garden, he would lose his featherweight championship to Willie Pep. Pep had a fighting career record of 229-11. Now, William Jones, at the age of 22, met Mae West in New York's nightclub. In 1928, Gorilla Jones had a long boxing career in the ring, and he was about to become a big time in 1929. He accumulated a total amount of $100,000 in purses, about $1.2 million in today's money, if you want to calculate it that way, and winnings about of New York State, Madison Square Garden. Mae West and William Jones would be photoed many times at ringside, and William Jones would normally be allowed to sit where he was sitting next to Mae West. That's how much respect Mae West had in those days. Mark J. Price, a reporter of the Beacon Journal in Akron, Ohio. In his column, he would cover many bouts with William Gorilla Jones. And Mark J. Price would write about William Gorilla Jones inside the ring and outside the ring. And inside the ring, William Gorilla Jones was sensational. Outside the ring, he was what they called a sport. He wore impeccable suits, flashy diamonds. He had rings almost on every finger. He drove a Lincoln coupe. Seen with Mae West, he walked a lion cub on a leash. He was amongst the stars. Jones' nickname, Gorilla Jones, would be politically incorrect today. You see, how the original Fighting Jones got his name was that he had a reach of 75 inches. Now, when you look at a gorilla, his arms are usually longer than his legs, almost dragging on the ground. So it was more ridiculed than anything. But William Gorilla Jones wore that name in style. See, to him it meant brute strength, aggressiveness, take charge, personality. At the age of 18, Jones fought for $7.50 in 1927. He would defeat K.O. Kelly and won $100. After that bout, his money would triple. But ironically, that same evening, he would gamble all away shooting dice. And he would beg his promoter, Susie Welsh, for another fight so he can buy a ticket back to Akron. And ironically, Susie Welch had a gym located in Akron, Ohio. And he trained at the Welch Athletic Club at 2995 Main Street. Mae West died in 1980. She was 87 years of age at the time of her death. And Jones was devastated. He died 2 years later in 1982. He weighed 102 pounds, and he was 75 years of age at the time of his death. You see, he was depressed. He stated that Mae West bought the building that she rented when I was unable to visit her on the 6th floor. And she bought the building, fired everyone, and rehired those who needed to work, and was respectful to those who looked like myself. This was the Raven Apartments complex. And I was offered a $250,000 to sell my story. But I would not betray Mae West, who was so good to me. She was a close friend. I suffered from diabetes and lost my eyesight. Mae West kept me on the payroll and took care of me and handled my bills and affairs. For that I would be forever grateful. William Gorilla Jones was an outstanding fighter, an outstanding humanitarian, as you can see. Marcel Theo was a very strong puncher in his own right. I will be covering Marcel Theo in another video. But for now, thanks for hanging in there with me. Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to William Gorilla Jones. This has been another Scrapbook Boxing production. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute.